Okay. Well, it's a short majority, but I did hear from, I know Jennifer, I believe, is on vacation this week, so she wasn't going to be able to attend. And I spoke with Winnie last week, but she didn't indicate that she would be able to join us, so hopefully she'll be here soon. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that would be everybody on the committee. So whenever you are ready.
Do we have someone that's willing to take notes since Jennifer's not here to take the minutes?
Oh, Jennifer was going to take minutes from the recording.
Yeah. Okay. She contacted me early about that. And that's, since we have the recording going, she's going to use that to generate the minutes for us.
Okay. All right.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Julie Yeager just noted that Winnie emailed she's on fall break and won't be joining us. So.
Okay. Okay. All right. I call the meeting, the executive committee meeting, October 13th, 2020, to order. Do we need to do roll call since there's
there's an
visual recording fine? Okay. So has everyone had a chance to take a look at the agenda?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. And do we have a motion to approve the agenda? Are there any additions? Okay.
I'll second, Julia.
So Scott made a motion and Julia seconded it. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any nays? Put them in the chat, please. Okay, no nays. So the agenda is approved. Has everyone had an opportunity to read the minutes from the August 11th meeting, and are there any additions or corrections?
The date at the top of it says June 9th.
And that should be August.
Okay, any other additions or corrections? Okay, so do we have a motion to approve the minutes from August 11th as edited?
This is Krista, so moved.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second, Scott.
Second, Scott. Okay, so all those in favor of approving the minutes? Yeah.
Aye.
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 If there are any nays, please put them in the chat. Okay, so motion carried. The minutes have been approved. Now the Indiana State Library report.
Yes. Hopefully you're seeing the slideshow now. And
yes,
the lack of everybody's screen time's less alarming. So on the migration front, I just have a few updates here to lead with. On the migration front, we did have our cataloging party at Sheridan since this group met last. It was very productive. We had 7 catalogers, 6 of whom were Cat 1 catalogers, and we just really knocked a lot out. The library closed for the day, and all of their staff also were in attendance. But we got over 1,700 items done in that one day, so that was outstanding. They have requested another date. We're currently looking at options. They were hoping for November, but there's an awful lot that goes on then, so we may be looking out to later dates in the year shortly. Rushville's testing so far has gone fantastically well. They've been very happy with everything they're seeing. So we're wrapping up the data testing now. They wanted to go live at the turn of the year, so we're looking at dates for that. But everything is on schedule for them to go live exactly when they were hoping to, and that's gone very well. Special project participation, no real changes in the transiting front. On the fine-free front, we have had some shifts. We are up to 34 libraries as of this week that are fully fine-free. And no changes on the auto renewal front. Before I get to the next section, though, I did want to ask everybody to welcome Stephanie Asbury. She has taken over Wendy's position, and so will be serving with all of you to help lead Evergreen over the next however many years. So she is on the call here, and I did want to say welcome and thank you.
Welcome, Stephanie.
Ruth, did you want to talk about training now, please?
I do indeed want to talk about training. So I am currently working on getting the asynchronous platform ready for everyone, including some expanded content. The deadline for me is to actually have that ready for you by November the 15th. I'll be starting by making the cataloging training live first, so that that seems to be what we've been hearing about the most, and that's generally the case. When is the next catalog training round going to happen? So November the 15th is the date for that, to kind of serve as a prelude to the upgrade in the software that we'll talk about coming up. Anything else you want to know about training? I guess I could say that we've had consistent attendance for the training Tuesdays. We most recently did a class with about 30 people on the new booking module, and the video for that is available on the YouTube channel, and as are all of the videos from the training Tuesdays. We have one more in this current schedule, which will be about creating documentation and what that means. Lynn Floyd, who is the head of the MIS department, will be teaching that, and that's on October the 22nd. And then we'll be spending some more time evaluating as far as the cataloging circles that we did for the summer, and then future training Tuesdays, as well as other things. My hope is that once the asynchronous classes are online, it can concentrate on doing some more some extended training into other aspects of the Evergreen software and the consortium and all of those things, as the fundamental skills kind of not necessarily take care of themselves, but don't take up so much of the bandwidth when it comes to training. So that's where we are with those things.
Thank you. On the development front, then I am still waiting with the Evergreen Indiana app for the quote on the self-check module. That was going to be a very complex affair because it is going to involve multiple consortia to get that funded and developed. There is broad interest amongst Ken's clients, but it will be a major undertaking, and he is just one guy doing this part-time on his evenings and weekends. So he has been fantastic about keeping up with all of the chatter and direct requests he's getting from our patrons. I was on the sites today to get stats for you guys, and he's hopping in and fixing things left and right, and he's not always telling me that he's doing it. He's just making it happen so that our patrons are having a good experience. The e-resources page, he is waiting on me for that information. I, in turn, have been waiting on our vendors to finish wrapping up and being ready for us to actually get that in place, but everything finally is set as of the end of last week. So I will be getting that to him hopefully this week to see if he can get that into place. We've already talked about the structure that he's going to use. He has a platform he's going to implement that should make this a very quick and easy process. He just hasn't used it to date. So we're going to guinea pig it for him a little bit, see what happens. But I think it's going to be good. We have lots and lots of downloads, so a lot of patrons are testing out, trying out the app. The degree to which I have specific stats varies between the platforms. I know that there have been over 1,000 downloads of the app on Google Play. I don't know exactly how many though. We do know exactly how many there were from Apple. So there's a lot of iOS downloads, almost 17 or a little over 1,700. But what he has done for us is when I let him know that it was very important for us to be able to, or not very important, but something that we really wanted to know was whose patrons were using it. He spent a little time. He told me it was something he could look into, but then he ended up spending a little time and said, hey, look, I've got all of these stats that you can have access to if you want it. So he'd gone ahead and fixed something that had not been working before. And for Android side, in the last, for about the last month now, I've been able to track where the users are by library so that we can see which libraries are seeing the best uptake in this. The numbers seem a little low to me, I'll be honest, but I may not be leveraging the interface too well just yet. So I may have a sit down with him and see if he can talk me through some of it. What I can tell you is since the stats product was launched, we have 41 libraries that have active users of the app on Android. So seeing good things. We have positive reviews on the apps, which is always a pleasure and relief. The hold type editor, that development is still ongoing. It got a hard pause because we needed to do some consulting work with them on the upgrade. So that did get the pause button pressed. I heard from Adam a couple of weeks ago saying that he was trying to get that worked back into his schedule. So hopefully we'll have something to test here before too long. I know the ECDI has had a lot of good news here recently, so I will ask Ruth to please share about all of the fabulousness coming with 3.6 and other projects.
Sure thing. And I did see, Courtney, you had your hand up. Did you have a question? Oh, okay. She didn't mean to raise her hand. So as Anna said, and I'm trying to move things around my screen so I can actually read what's here, we've had a lot of positive things happen as far as projects that are actually now being incorporated into the software. So we may not see them in our next upgrade, but we'll likely see them in the upgrade following. They include parts of the acquisitions module, two major portions of that. Then we also, some older projects that are going to be include the ability to test notifications. There was a project for email and print improvements that is being included in the 3.6 release. Hopeless holds is being included, and then we will also see, this is not something the ECDI was necessarily part of the development on, but we did work a lot on testing some of the issues. There is a new template, I guess is the best way to say it, for the OPAC that is going to be included as an option in 3.6, but will probably most likely be the default for us. I would say probably in a year, 14 months or so. So you do have the opportunity to look at that. We're also in the process right now of testing it's part of the Did You Mean project, and that is a search enhancement for the catalog. This first part, it has a lot to do with the infrastructure in terms of the search algorithm, but then we'll provide suggestions for both spelling, but then also subject area and authors and things like that as people are searching for items through the OPAC and through the staff catalog. We have some other things also that have to do with sorting results by proximity, so that if somebody is looking for a certain item in the catalog, they'll be able to find the copy that is closest to an area based on something that they input. What else? I know Anna is going to talk about one project that we are excited about going on. We also did just finish up the project priority vote, and which is where all those ideas come together, and then the members of the ECDI actually rank them, and we set the priorities for development projects that we will hope to fund in the next year. And we had very good participation in the vote, but we also, I want to say thank you to Nancy and to Britta Dorsey, who are not on the ECDI committee, but did serve to help in ranking those votes. The Evergreen Indiana Library Consortium has 6 targeting votes, and so they served as our 5th and 6th, in addition to our ECDI members, who include Anna, Keith, Kaffenberger, Laura Brzezinski, and I don't have these names in front of me, and I know I'm missing an obvious one. Anna,
Jocelyn
can you
Lewis.
say that one more time? I'm sorry.
Jocelyn Lewis.
Oh, Jocelyn, of course.
Yeah. They were selected specifically so that we have coverage. We had 2 catalogers between Britta and Jocelyn. Laura is a circulation manager, and Britta is also an assistant circulation manager. Representing the executive committee was Nancy Disbrow. From the IT side of things, we had Keith Kaffenberger, and then I just kind of there as an all-around, because I try to help out with everybody.
Yeah, and it's people who have a definite understanding of the Evergreen software, as well as the workflows, and so that is an important thing. But if at any point you'd like more information about that, I would love to talk about the ECDI, and I will actually drop a link to the website in the chat if you want to. There are some things that you can just see there. And the other thing is that we encourage everybody who is part of a member library, which you all are, to participate in the discussion. So if you are interested in getting a login so that you can participate in the forums and submit ideas that you think would enhance the software, I encourage that. So I'll put a link to that form to request access as well. Am I missing anything, Anna?
I don't think so, but there's so much going on. We may just have to catch up with it in December.
There is. Okay. I'll go ahead and grab those links as you move on.
Thank you. Fiscal report. It's been an expensive couple of months. A lot of procurement going on. I have been working on the catch-up invoicing of all of the members. We have finally closed Q2 of this year, but we are still collecting on Q4 and Q1. So I am hopeful, however, that we are going to get that straightened out. I heard from one more library yet this morning that is still trying to get things squared away after the COVID confusion kind of scrambled things for them. The novelist renewal went through, and we're good for another year. So they want to, they've requested I sit down with them about some possible other products. I am planning to do that and let you know what they say, but the primary one that I know that they want us to adopt is the linked data project. And I just wanted to remind you that we did that already. We were part of the Sephira test group for 2 years, and It was a very interesting experiment, but because of how our catalog is already scraped, we did not see anywhere near the level of improvement that they had indicated we could hope for. So we'll see what they're asking price-wise, but I wanted to let you know that they're very interested in shopping that product to us. If you wanted to do any additional research, please feel free, and hopefully we'll talk about it again then in December. The Marchive renewal has gotten a little complicated. The Marchive currently manages our authority control. My understanding was that the contract had been renewed back in May with the other state library contract, and then I found out 2 weeks ago it had not. It was dismissed by the state, so I am in the process of renegotiating the contract. They are willing to extend the same terms that they offered to the state, so it shouldn't be a problem. It should just be a question of getting some of the paperwork cleaned up. The cataloging community so far has been very happy with the quality of records we've gotten and the matches, so I don't foresee that there will be any major issues with that. We just want to make sure we get that contract nailed down with Evergreen through the foundation as the contracting agent. The ECDI periodicals pass-through is in process. We're collecting on that. We've paid for the Gale Legal Forms and Chilton Automotive Library. I have not received an invoice yet for the online book club, but that was heavily postponed because of the issues we had with setup. Some of you may have noticed a little of my frustration with how long it took to get configured, but the issue came down to because the project is subcontracted, the agency that we contracted with promised a little more than the agency that was actually going to make it happen was prepared to support. So it took us a few weeks of wrangling to get that squared away. It did not delay the launch of the book club significantly. We did end up having to push it off by a week, but it was only a week because of how they cycle their book clubs. So the initial invites went out last week. Hopefully more are going out today or this week with everybody's newsletters, and it will be good. We did have a small bill associated with having the stats enabled, but it was an hour of work with Ken, and that still falls within our current budget. We have a support contract now with Emerald that we are using for the upgrade preparation. And on the staffing front, I should have updated this, both of the August and September bills have been received and paid. I wasn't positive the September bill had been, but it was. So we're all set on that front. We're actually caught up pretty well. The one other thing that's not here is I had to order and currently have a car full of new video shipping cases. It's kind of hard to get shipments the way they normally do it at the library right now, so I had to time it so I could actually go and fetch the boxes. But let's just say I barely fit in my car right now, but they're coming into the library with me tomorrow. So we should have these 6-disc cases again, finally, for libraries that need those. Moving along then to the cataloging committee. I see Monica's here. Did you want to go ahead?
Yeah. The cataloging committee met in September. And then, as on a slide there says, we've been working remotely on the procedures and training things. More specifically, we've added some things to the cataloging policy. Anna, do we want to talk about that now, or is that on the agenda for later?
It's on the agenda for later.
Okay. In that case, I will hold off on that, but I did want to mention a couple things that we changed in the procedures guide. We've made some changes to, we've had an issue with a publisher who acquired a whole, bought the back catalog of another publisher, and we weren't sure how to deal with that from a cataloging standpoint, so we did that. We've also done some things on, made some procedure changes on monographic parts for serials, and we are still working on monographic parts for the DVD parts project. Most of that's in place, but we're running into some anomalies like DVDs that come with an audio CD with them. So we're still working on that. And this will come up in the, probably when we discuss the cataloging policy, but one thing that we did do at our last meeting, we talked about local vocabularies, and we had started one a year or two ago, and we added to it this time at this last meeting with undocumented immigrants as a heading. And we're using that in records in addition to the Library of Congress subject heading that has illegal aliens. I think that's all. Do you have any other thoughts, Anna?
That's it in broad strokes. I know the committee still has a couple more of the headings to evaluate. The category of undocumented immigrant had 6 authorized headings in our catalog, where it was the alien option. And so those have all been added, but we are still looking at some of the complementary things like immigrant detention centers and so forth to see if we can find options which represent how we want these presented in the catalog. And hopefully the Library of Congress will catch up with us.
But we're not holding our breath.
Not for a little while.
No.
So, okay. But they've been very busy. I keep harassing all the cataloging committee. They get an email at least once a week. Do we want to change this? What about this? Look at that. They've been very, very excellent to work with. On the monographic parts front, I talked to you guys a lot about this last time, and I just wanted to give you an update. We're up to 60%. As catalogers have had regular business kind of come back into full swing, they haven't had as much time to work on this, understandably, but progress is still being made, and I'm very grateful for all the work everyone's doing on this, because it is having an effect. When I get to records that I'm trying to work on centrally, I'm finding more and more of the time they've already been taken care of, so that's fantastic. The e-content committee canceled their meeting today because they didn't really have anything to work on other than knowing that we have everything put together that they asked you to take a look at and consider last time. So that's all live, and now it's not exactly a waiting game, but we get to see how it plays out, and look forward to getting some stats here before too long. I will be compiling and distributing those. The way this works, when they're reported on, I get lists by barcode, so it takes a little while to get that sorted out and compiled into individual library stats. It's how we're saving money, but it does make reporting a bit more of a slow going. So we'll have that for everybody here before too long, and it'll definitely appear in the annual report. So we'll have all of that information for you, because it is data that is actually incorporated in the report. I do want to mention, I have had inquiries. The online book club does not count as a local library program. And I'm not sure yet what all data we're going to be able to get out of Library Ideas on the downloads. So I don't know if I will be able to split that out by library. I'm going to attempt to do that to at least have that information for annual reports. But by and large, Library Development Office is saying to treat it as an outside program, not a local program, and that the associated stats are for engagement rather than reporting. The online book club selection, by a relatively large margin, was The Bookwoman of Troublesome Creek. We ended up, because of the delay, we ended up getting a much longer book list than I'd actually intended. It was, we were originally given just 5 options, which was where I argued with the vendor because we'd been offered 30 to 50. And in the end, we ended up having 78. So we'll hopefully find a balance going forward. But I'll be working with everybody that responded to, that they were interested in continuing to work on the project to help select our 3 books for the participants to choose from going forward in January. Patron Services Committee, Lori was not able to join us. They met in September and they approved a major overhaul of the circulation procedures guide. Just about everything got touched and updated there. So a lot of changes, not necessarily all big changes to how things work. It was mostly just cleanup so that it reflects how Evergreen works and how our policies are implemented, and provides clarification where we had some gaps that were causing a lot of questions. And after a survey this last week, then they approved a new set of circ mods that they would like you to take a look at later in the meeting. I forgot, I think, to send the members of the strategic committee the paperwork that the previous strategic planning committee had worked on. So I apologize for that. Did any of you have anything you wanted to bring to the table at this point?
I'm glad you did that because, well, I was starting to feel guilty about it. So are we, Nancy, are you, who officially is on this with me? I believe it's Nancy.
I think Nancy said she'd work with you. Yes, I don't remember if there was a third.
Okay.
And I don't have my notes with me. Because
I'm supposed to.
I have said that I would help facilitate it, but as a non-voting person, I'll just be there in attendance to shepherd if necessary.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd be interested in hearing, what's going on in the greater community to help us inform our decision. But either way, I'd like to start moving forward with that. Nancy, did you want to maybe talk about a time to get together?
Sure, let's do that.
Okay. Do you want to just write me after the meeting?
Sure.
Okay, cool.
Okay, so we do have a meeting actually potentially scheduled after the meeting, a Zoom call, if you want to get on to that and we can move forward. And anybody that's interested is also welcome to attend that.
I think I'd be available if Scott wants to do that.
Yeah.
You mean to do like a quick planning?
Yeah, planning to plan.
For a plan?
Mhm.
Yeah.
And then, Anna, do you have that paperwork somewhere, even though you haven't sent it?
Yeah.
Okay. Would you mind to forward that on when you have the opportunity? I know
Sure.
it may involve digging or something, but
No, I can get that out today.
awesome. Thank you so much.
Mhm.
And Nancy, I'll send that link over to you.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, unfinished business. I don't have any action for you here. It took me a little longer to get the requirements put together and sent out than I had hoped, but I should have some quotes back here in the next week or so. And Yes, actually within the next week. And I'm going to try to get those compiled and to you for electronic review. With any luck, we'll be able to also get those in front of, once you've made your choice, we'll be able to get those in front of the ECDI unless you want their input prior to selecting a vendor. I approached 4 different vendors that we think have the skill to do this. We'll have to see what kind of availability they have. I know for sure, I've already had questions back from one of them, so I'm sure we'll get a quote, at least one quote on this, but it's otherwise been a little quiet, so we'll see. There's been a lot going on in the development community the last few weeks as they ramped up for the release of the latest version of Evergreen.
And this is one of the projects that it says down there that ECDI has expressed definite interest in co-sponsoring. This is actually one of the projects that during our prioritization vote rose to the top. So it's one of the top 10 projects as far as all that goes.
Yeah, I've talked to a couple people and are like, yeah, it shouldn't be that big or that bad a project. So I'm hopeful it's going to be reasonable and something that can happen quickly, because I know it's something that we could really use. All right, new business. This is something that the help desk and I don't know about Ruth, but probably we've all been getting queries. What am I supposed to do with my binge boxes? They don't quite fit here. They don't quite fit there. What am I supposed to do? So the patron services group had me put out a survey so that we could see how this actually looked, what people were expecting, things like that. And so this was the final takeaway that the committee asked me to forward on to you. This doesn't hit everybody's desires, I know, but the idea is to give people some options. So let's see. 73% of the libraries that responded felt that a limit of 2 was appropriate, because 10 binge boxes with 7 DVDs in each would probably be daunting for the average user to actually wade through. But we did have libraries interested in having no limit at all. 7 days was the most commonly requested circ duration. 71% of respondents were in favor of renewals. Holds and transits, 88% of respondents wanted binge boxes to be holdable and 70% wanted them to be transitable. And so with that in mind, the committee decided to assign the fine levels at 25 cents so that it is consistent with other shipped media products like the transiting video discs generally, or audiobooks. Audiobooks being closer in price actually to the average binge box. So were there any questions I could answer before you take this under consideration? We did have a number of libraries report that they would just continue to use the standard video disc options because they did want to be able to circulate more. This would be, these checkout limits would be on top of our existing video disc limits.
So no questions then? Any comments? So we just need to vote on whether we accept it. Okay, well, it looks, do I have a motion to accept the Patron Services Committee's recommendations for binge boxes.
I'll make a motion, Nancy.
I heard someone, but barely.
Oh, Nancy, I'll make a motion.
Okay.
Sorry.
Right. Thank you. No, that's fine. Thank you, Nancy. Do I hear a second?
Second,
This is
Julia.
Krista. I'll
Never mind. Sorry, Krista.
go for it. Don't matter.
Okay. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
If there's a nay, please put it in the chat box. Okay, looks like motion carries and the new circum recommendations has been accepted and approved.
Fantastic. I will get the details to Lynn for after the meeting. We'll see if we can't get those in place here in the next week or so. The agenda that the board members have includes a link to the full working document of the cataloging policy update. It had not been updated since 2014. It had been a while since the cataloging policy had undergone a full review. What triggered the desire to review it and update it was the realization that we had not added any content related to authority control when that was implemented. So the committee first authorized the addition of this new clause to the policy, but then also chose to go back and update things like training schedules, how often we offer classes and how we offer them, what the training requirements are overall, updated the Library of Congress BibCo standard, which had changed and changed location, and a couple of other minor grammatical fixes, actually. But since this is policy, we do need to have the executive committee approve it.
Okay, are there any questions or comments on the cataloging policy additions? Okay, if not, do we have a motion to approve the addition to the cataloging policy?
There is a question from Monica in the chat. Is that anything relevant?
Okay, do they need to know that you added the auto-delete thing?
Auto-delete was not a change to the policy here. It was, oops, where is it? Sorry, I must have this open another window. That is a change that's coming in the procedures that spells out a policy change that the board made in 2017, I believe. Oh, nope. It does appear here as well. I apologize. I was confused. Yes, the executive committee approved this change in 2017. It was just not reflected in the cataloging policy, and the catalogers requested that it also make an appearance. So this particular section that spells out what you guys approved is changed language as well.
Okay, any other questions or comments? So do we have a motion to approve the addition to the cataloging policy and the correction about the auto deletion?
I'll motion.
Okay, Scott. Do I hear a second?
I'll second, Krista.
Okay. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Any nays, please post in the chat box. Okay, it looks like motion carries.
I will get that updated and posted probably tomorrow. I need to find the original edition of the cataloging policy.
And thank you, Monica, for bringing that up.
Yes, thank you. I spent too much time looking at it and read right past it.
No problem. I just, I thought it was you as one of the things you added, and actually I meant to send my message directly to you. I didn't realize that everybody are considered panelists.
Well, that's supposed to be how you get to have your camera work, but it changed its mind for some reason. All right, this next bit's a little tough for me. Some of you may know, some of you may not. The Evergreen International Project. I am currently the serving board president for the International Project. We were tremendously excited at the end of September because after over almost 2 years work, the project has finally declared a nonprofit in an uncontested bid, which I was super excited about because it was a ridiculous amount of work. We had to redo the application 3 times because the requirements changed before we got them submitted. But that was followed up with a very frustrating situation for the past few months. We have been trying to negotiate with the venue that we had contracted with in January of this year for the 2021 conference to either postpone the 2021 conference or cancel it. The project earns all of its money to date by holding these conferences, and they work very, very hard to keep it as reasonable as possible so as many libraries as possible can attend. You know, being led by libraries, we know nobody's got a lot of money. We're trying to make it something that people can still afford to send their staff to. That said, the average take per year is $5,000. So one of the unfortunate side effects of reaching the point that we did with the vendor was that they had tiered cancellation penalties in their contract. They were not in a position, for whatever reasons they did not provide, to offer us any sort of accommodation to either change the existing penalties or cut us a break if we were able to postpone. So last Friday, the board convened Friday evening and determined to cancel the conference so that we could try to get out with the minimum in fiscal penalty. For what it's worth, that's $60,000. And the project simply does not have that kind of money. If you're earning $5,000 a year and you've only had 9 conferences, it's simply not possible. So I reached out to all of the other consortia and our major development sponsors this morning to ask them to consider offering a donation to the project to ensure that we can continue to have Evergreen and be able to build that community. And so I'm here, hat in hand, on behalf of the international community to ask you to consider making a donation towards the underage that is currently in place for the community. I'm happy to answer any further questions that I can. Overall, the project needs between $15,000 and $20,000 to be able to pay the penalty, the associated legal fees, and maintenance fees with our fiscal agency until we can actually get something in place to raise additional funds.
Anna, do you mind if I jump in for just a second?
Sure.
So I want to say a couple things about what the international community does and why the Evergreen project is important. While the only way that it raises revenue is through that conference, it does a lot more than that. So the Evergreen project is the coordinating body for all those developers and libraries and other stakeholders that propel the Evergreen software forward. And also within that, then there is that community that also promotes training, documentation, all of those relationships and jobs that are associated with that. And a lot of that stuff is done through in-kind type donations and things, so that there is so much value that comes out of this community that only gets money from this one conference. And it was not canceled for any fault on the part really of anyone. There is not a vaccine in place for COVID-19 at this point. And we are all looking at budgetary shortfalls as part of this thing, so that travel budgets, there are not going to be the same number of people that could even attend if that conference were to go forward. It's an unfortunate thing that the venue, for whatever reason, could not be more accommodating, and the result of that is that they have severely hampered this project that usually runs through the goodwill of people in that little bit of nest egg where we really rely on the conference that was canceled to protect our members, the people, the community members. As the person who is also here representing the ECDI, I am formulating how to approach that body of which Evergreen, Indiana is a part, and how we can also contribute back directly to the project to help hopefully make up some of this shortfall. This is an emergency situation, and I will also say, and I hope that you got it in the tenor of Anna's voice, that it's not just something that a lot of work has gone into, but a lot of emotional energy has gone into for not just the past 2 years, but the past 5 and 7 years to create the Evergreen project as a sustainable open source software project for libraries. And now to get to this point where all of that work really had reached this pretty pinnacle culmination. It's very exciting, and Anna should be really lauded for leading, especially this final hard step. And now to get to this point where, through nobody's fault, as far as it's associated with the Evergreen project or the project board or the member organizations, to sustain this hit is really hard. And so I'd like you to consider those things as Anna takes it back from me.
Okay. I have first of all, congratulations, Anna. That's pretty exciting, nonprofit status.
It is.
Fabulous. Kudos. Secondly, what is our financial situation at the moment? Do you have that available?
Thought you might ask that. Whoops. So I have our balance sheet here for you to take a look at. I know we've shifted things around a lot, and that's one of the reasons why I wanted to make sure I had this here for you if you wanted to take a look at it. Technically, we moved all of our event funding to cover e-content. So we have a couple of options. First up, the OPEC enhancement service ended up coming in significantly under estimate. I believe they cut us a 2% break this year in our growth over what we had anticipated. So we have additional funds left there. We have completed our major expenditure on authority control already this year, and we still have amounts available there. And this could also potentially come from our direct development budget if you wish to look at it from that perspective.
Okay, does anybody else have any questions, or Anna, do you have any more comments you'd like to make?
I will mention that as of this morning, individuals from the community had already donated almost $2,800 out of pocket. Multiple board members have also committed to donating. They just haven't had a chance to yet. And I have also heard from one other consortium that is going to be reviewing this yet this week with an eye to try to add some funds to the pot.
Any other questions or comments from the committee? Would someone like to make a motion that we support the project? It seems like it should be taken out of the development line there for projects.
This is Julia. I will move that we take that $5,000 out of the development section of the budget.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Please put it in the chat. It appears that motion carries.
Thank you so much. Okay. Well, I'm going to take a minute and I'm going to let Lynn talk to you guys now about the upgrade.
All right. All right. For those who don't know, our migration server and our development server have both been upgraded to 3.4. Migration is on 3.4.4, which is the version I am looking at going to in this next version. Coming to that fact, I need y'all to help me figure out when is the best time for y'all to be down the 4 days that I am having to, that will take for us to upgrade. Now, this is not just a simple upgrade. With this upgrade, there is going to be an upgrade with the OS of all the servers. There are currently 23 servers that will have to be upgraded in the process. So that's going to take 4 days because every single server has to have an operating system upgrade before we can even apply the Evergreen upgrade. There's also some other additional upgrades that will have to happen also on the servers and with the individual softwares. OpenSurf, which is the back end of Evergreen, which actually takes all that communication between all these servers, lets it happen. That has to be upgraded also. That's the big upgrade part of the upgrade. Because as soon as you upgrade one, you've got to sit there and constantly sit there and do the next upgrade, and you can't just stop. You can't just do like 2 or 3 of them and wait a day. You have to do them all. And then on top of that, we actually have the Evergreen upgrade. Going from 3.2. I don't even know which version we're on, to 3.4.4, there's going to be a lot of upgrades. I mean, there's a lot of upgrades that have database upgrades and things like that that have to be addressed. So it's going to take about 4 days to do this, and it'll be me and a few other people. We will be constantly working on it those 4 days. So I'm proposing 2 time frames. One is Thanksgiving weekend. We start off on Friday. We'll hopefully have it back up Monday. Or we'll start late Thursday and hopefully have it back up on Monday. Or we could do it the week after Christmas. Those are the 2 time frames that I think would be best, because those are the time frames that most libraries would not be either in servers or be will be, we can have it down as, and I'm hoping to have it down as little as possible. Maybe have it partially up some days and after the first day, but hopefully not have it completely down all 4 days. But we will have a cataloging freeze and stuff during this upgrade because of all the different pieces with this particular upgrade. Any questions?
I'm sorry, Lynn, I missed it at the beginning. Did you say 4 days?
Yes,
Okay,
I did.
all right, thank you.
That's as quick. That is as fast as I could get it done, and even with all the help I've got coming with me. Because Adam Boeing at Emerald Data Networks has also we've contracted with him to help with this upgrade. So he'll have a team working on it, and then I'll pull a few of our staff here that work on it also to make sure everything runs like it's supposed to.
And we'd still be able to access the offline mode, of course.
Yes, the offline mode will definitely be available those days.
Are there any more questions or comments for Lynn?
So the one thing I need to do is figure out which weekend, when do y'all think would be the best time for us to do this? Thanksgiving weekend or the week after Christmas?
So any discussion about that? Does anybody have a preference? All right.
I would prefer Thanksgiving myself.
Okay.
This is Krista. I would prefer the Thanksgiving weekend.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, that
That's
would work
just
best
me.
for us too.
Any other comments about the date? Is Thanksgiving okay with everyone?
That is what we had thought it would be. The thing is, we are open that Friday and Saturday, whereas the week of Christmas, the week after Christmas, we are closed on the 31st and the 1st, and possibly the 2nd. So for us, the week after Christmas, if it was that last week, would be better than Thanksgiving, just because we're not even here.
See, we're the other way around. Yeah.
So you are closed the day after Thanksgiving?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. For us, Thanksgiving and day after Thanksgiving, and only open one. Yeah, and then we're only open on the 28th. We're not open that Sunday, but we are open the entire week after Christmas except Thursday. So we're open after Christmas.
I'll mention, just as an aside,
We're Christmas
if we-
Day, but until the 31st, and then only close January. But that's us. I mean, whatever works best for everyone, we'll make.
I just wanted to mention that if we do it over New Year's, that will delay everyone's annual report data. So probably not more than a couple of days, but it will have an impact if you're planning with that.
Anna, do you happen to know how many, I mean, like our library is open on the Friday after Thanksgiving, so I was just thinking in general that might be better. And then if there's an issue also, we'd have more dates to work with. Whereas if we do it too close to the end of the year, we don't have as much flexibility.
Something like 85% of the libraries are closed, at least on the Friday after Thanksgiving. So we have done Thanksgiving upgrades for that reason before, because it tends to be a little less impactful. It's that, or we have actually done Christmas upgrades, but that gets to be a little tough on the staff to have to lose that holiday as well.
Right. Okay.
It doesn't matter to me because I'm not traveling over this holiday season at all. I mean, I moved from Georgia. All my family's still, mine and my husband's family are all back in Georgia, but we have decided that we're not going home for Christmas or Thanksgiving. Um, so it doesn't matter to me which weekend we do it. I just know that those 2 times are probably better because we have the most libraries closed.
Okay, do we have any more discussion? Do we have a motion to do the upgrade over Thanksgiving weekend?
I would make a motion to do it over Thanksgiving weekend, particularly thinking about the annual report stuff. I think whichever way you do it, there are going to be libraries that are inconvenienced one way or the other, so you can't kind of do it perfectly. So I'd make the motion for Thanksgiving.
I agree. Thank you, Nancy. Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second. Julia.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed, please post it in the chat. Looks like motion carries. So the upgrade for Evergreen 3.4 will be done over the Thanksgiving holiday.
I just posted a link to our migration server into the chat. So everybody take a look at it. I know Ruth is doing some training seminars on the upgrade in the next month or so, sometime or another.
I should have probably actually mentioned that. It's going to be on during the training, my apology. It's going to be on the 29th, I believe. I'll put a registration link for that in the chat as well.
So have fun, look at it.
Use your normal logins
Yeah.
to log into that.
And if your login doesn't work, please put a help desk ticket in and we'll make sure it works. You may have to re-register your workstation for that server.
Thank you, Lynn.
You're welcome.
Okay. Anna, do you have anything else?
Actually, I do. It's more informative. And I had put it on the agenda and then I managed to read right past it when I was presenting earlier. So let me escape this real quick. And I just wanted to say, I have this memo that I'm going to release to the community. It is something I worked up together with Sylvia Watson, the State Libraries Council, and Jake Spear. We'd received some questions about a legislative change earlier this year and how that impacted our registration processes here in the consortium. And on our initial read, the finding was that we really didn't need to make any changes at all. We don't require any updates to our existing policies or procedures because we already, with all the work you guys have done, covered this. Foster children that are housed in Evergreen, Indiana library districts are already addressed and covered by Evergreen, Indiana policy and procedures. But in the interest of clarity, we do have this memo put together for anyone that has questions about any special handling that those cases require. The one thing that is potentially different from any other child coming to the library and getting a library card is that placement letters may be used as proof of address, which I know some libraries were already doing. So this is just a clarifying option. And I'll probably link it on the policy and procedures page as a clarifying document.
Okay, great.
Fabulous. Did you have any concerns or things that you wanted to take under consideration before I post it? You can hopefully see most of it. The bottom half is the practical bit, who gets what cards. And the top half is just a clarification of who may be specially eligible, which, as I say, you guys have already done a fantastic job. We take care of our kids in Evergreen, Indiana.
It looks like it covers everything. Okay.
All right, thank you. Well, then from my end of things, all that's left is hopefully we'll see everybody post-upgrade December 8th. How we'll meet remains to be seen, but I suspect we will get permission to meet virtually through the end of the year. So we'll be watching for any updates on that, and I will let you know if that changes.
Okay. All right, do we have any more discussion before we close the meeting? Okay, do we have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Motion.
Go for it, Scott.
First, motion, second, either way, I'm good.
Same here.
All right, thank you, everyone. The meeting adjourned.
Thank you so much.
Have a good one.
Thanks.
You too.
Bye.